about, do buyers or are buyers ready for AI? I saw a comment on X as it is today that said lots of marketers are interested in AI, but no buyers are. Something like that. So Andy, welcome. Where can people find you if they want more information?
You may already be on the platform where I'm most active, LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn anywhere. Else might be YouTube. I have an active YouTube channel. I publish everything first on my own site, orbitmedia.com. Orbit is a web development and website optimization company here in Chicago. Started 24 years ago. There's now 53 people. It's 53 Orbiteers. But you can find me right here, right now, Tim. I'm just excited to talk to you.
And I was reading your newsletter on LinkedIn, and you've got like over like 180,000 followers on your newsletter.
Yeah, it's a lot. Subscriber 200 and
is it
30? Yeah, it's quite a few.
So you put out some research, didn't you? When was it?
Consumer readiness, the AI consumer readiness survey.
Yes. So that was on the 11th of April, 2024. And the reason I came to you to come on here to talk about it, because what you'd done was that you asked the questions that we were all thinking, but nobody had asked. And it's proper research, it's data, isn't it? You've gone out and you've got a sample of
it's like 1,000 people.
Yeah, 1,100 people, which is a good sample. And you've asked questions like, you're hiring a marketing company to create an ad. Which company sounds best to you? And the choices are: our designers and writers do everything by hand. Our designers and writers do the heavy lifting, but AI checks the work. AI generates design and copy, and then our team checks it. And your ad will be totally created by an AI bot. And the results to that was fascinating.
It is. It's interesting. But the original idea behind the survey is to try to discover at what point should we as brands put AI into our messages. Yes, of course we use AI. We have AI powered doctors, lawyers, whatever the category is. We asked this for a bunch: rideshare, accountants, news, airlines.
Yeah, so you asked the question: would you get in on an AI piloted airplane?
That's right. So you don't see that in airlines marketing messages, but if they tried that, would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Do consumers trust machines more than people, or people more than machines? It's so interesting, right? It's like super unclear. It's sort of early. The airplane one is actually an ironic example because most flying is already done through algorithms and automation. So it's funny because people are sort of like squeamish about, I don't know if I want a robot pilot, but in fact, your pilot's already a robot. The humans are sort of there, like on a self-driving car.
They're like they're like, not to do down pilots, but they're there because people kind of like want to see that.
Yeah.
But there was a barber. That's the barber.
The pilot one that's in here too. So the pilot, it basically says, humans pilot our planes are flown by humans assisted by AI. It's actually much more the case for the third option. We have AI piloted planes with human pilot backups. Yeah. That's sort of the current state of how planes fly, commercial airlines. And so there's really only 13% or 9% of people prefer what is currently the way in which planes fly around,
which is down from 13% from last year.
And so, Tim, you highlighted the other interesting part of the survey is because we've done it twice now, and there seems to be a slight eroding of trust in technology from 2023 to 2024. But this idea of at what point will it be more effective in our marketing to include AI in the message? Come to our hospital, our doctors use the latest AI, or let me do your taxes. Obviously, I'm going to have everything checked by the AI. Or you need a financial planner, just use this app. No humans will touch your financial. We promise you, a human with cognitive biases will never make recommendations for your finances. It's like very interesting. Like and it's unclear. And one of my predictions is it may actually split, like so many things do in culture, where there are people who are ever more trusting of technology and others who are ever less trusting of technology.
I guess it's a bit like Seinfeld, isn't it? So you either like it or you hate it.
Yep.
Or if you're under 25, you don't even know what it is.
AI is already a polarizing technology. I have not seen any suggestion of polarization along political lines or cultural lines. It's quite broad at the moment.
Well, they've
it
been
seems to be.
using, if you think about it, Match.com has been using AI to match
Sure.
people for 10, 15 years.
Oh, AI has been in the background for decades. I mean, you've never taken a survey on Netflix to see what movies you might like. AI is recommending movies based on, that's been AI for many years. The typical, just open a URL on Amazon, AI powered many of the things that just rendered on your screen. There, all of the social platforms, of course, have. Actually, this is interesting, and I'll ask it as a question. I'm not an AI engineer, obviously, but I think the term AI is actually overused, and that many things that are simple automations are now being ascribed to this kind of artificial intelligence, including the airline thing. I don't know that that's artificially intelligent planes. I think there's automations that are helping these pilots take off and land, and the cruise control. So I think there's a fine line or gray area, or maybe it's semantics, but is that an automation or is that artificial intelligence? Perhaps not important when it comes to the marketing message question. But no, this is your point's spot on. These things have been in the background for all of our services for 10 plus years. So this is it bubbles to the surface of consumer consciousness in November 2023. And now you can't, everyone has a point of view on this today. But when should this go into our messages? When will you prefer to hear that your doctor's definitely just do it using a robot, but it will be checked by a human? Would you rather see, you've got a health scare. Do you want your oncologist to use AI or not use AI? Would you rather have your bone scan analyzed by a model that's seen 10 million bone scans? Or do you want a person to kind of look at that and, if they haven't had lunch yet, they're kind of, cranky and in a rush. This is quite interesting. So it's really an unanswerable question so far. But broadly speaking, yes, a few things from the research. People are generally embracing AI, and the percentage of people that want an all-human approach really is only about a third to a half for each of these categories. So we seem to be ready to adopt AI and to have that incorporated into our lives and used by our service providers.
So,
second point, yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say I've seen some research from Northwestern University in the US, where they say that the quality of applications to the university has gone down because people are writing the applications using ChatGPT. And therefore, and you can imagine, because it's, of course, I don't need to think about it anymore. And actually the quality has gone down.
The lowest quality. So the commodification of content is a long trend that we've been seeing for years. If we just think of university applications and college essays as a form for content, that's included in there. So the speed and cost of low quality content just went down even farther from where it was before. And therefore, the difference between high and low quality content just grew. If that's true, and I love this is a really interesting use case, because it should benefit the college essay writer that uses the human perspective and knows how to differentiate their content from AI. I think all of us, Tim, you and I are doing something right now AI could never do. Anyone who uses AI for research, but not for writing, people who incorporate stories and emotion and opinions and points of view. these people, I think, will have an advantage in the era of AI generated content as this yawning gap grows between commodity, automatically generated, undifferentiated, quickly spun out of an LLM, floods the market, and those who take a stand and have a point of view feel more different and will have a greater opportunity to build a personal brand, make an impact for their audience, and get accepted to college.
Yeah, and I think that well, we often talk about that AI will generate average content, but for some people that's actually an increase.
Yeah.
That's better because they're actually creating pretty poor content, and actually so commoditized average content for some people is better than where they are right now.
That's an interesting point. It's better than Fiverr, right? If your blogging strategy was to hire someone off of Fiverr to write you 10 articles a month, hopefully next month your Fiverr blogger is using AI because the content will probably be better. That's interesting. It lowers the cost of commodity content, but it probably improves the quality of it. I really hadn't thought of that.
So you wrote a really interesting newsletter that just came out recently about thought leadership, and you mentioned the fact that you saw Seth Godin speak at an event, and you were the crafty one that got your hand up first to ask a question about what is thought leadership. Do you remember what he said off the top of your head? Or
I do. Seth said, and I was writing this down. I didn't capture the quote verbatim. I sort of wish I'd recorded it, but it was a small private event. So what I had written down in that moment was AI or thought leadership content always creates tension. You can be certain that someone will disagree. Something like, the whole point is to make an assertion. And what he's saying is that he's setting the bar high for thought leadership and basically telling us that if you cannot disagree with it, it is not thought leadership. That's his standard. Thought leadership is about making assertions.
Yeah.
So it's not actually part of my content strategy. Mostly I'm a how-to blog and I write things about, how to do these things. But that idea is especially relevant today in the era of AI generated content because we can decide now if it's possible today with models like ChatGPT to actually produce a piece of thought leadership. If thought leadership is about taking a stand and saying this is good, that's bad, or this is the right way, that's the wrong way, AI doesn't really do that in possibly because AI has no experience. It has no real world experience. It doesn't have any opinions. I'll give you an example. I come into the office, all the lights are off in this office. No one turns the lights on in the morning. There's one person who comes in and says, "Why is it so dark in here?" He seems to care about that. I don't care about that. But let's ask ChatGPT, do you prefer having the lights off in the office in the morning? It's not going to take a stand on that, right?
It's going to find something that
it'll go grab, right. It'll give you two
Reddit article.
Yep. It will summarize someone else's point of view.
Yeah.
It has no preference. It has never walked into an office and had a feeling about light or dark. And there's 1 million of these. And in my article, I share prompts that help you find these sort of mundane topics, but are still provocative, like the Oxford comma. Yep. I don't use the Oxford comma. I know people who will argue with me about the Oxford comma. I asked AI, what do you feel? What's your opinion about the Oxford comma? It said, the Oxford comma can help add clarity, but whether or not to use it depends on your style guide. That's not a perspective, right?
So how much do you think that, I mean, people in marketing and sales are all a bit gung-ho about AI. There's lots of talk about, this magic answer that it's going to give. What do you think our customers and buyers actually think? The people that are going to consume the content?
Well, if the past is, points to a future, then the AI or not AI is not mostly what the consumer cares about. They care if that Netflix movie recommendation was something good. They care if the doctor's diagnosis was accurate. They care if the rideshare car gets them there on time and if the plane lands, safely in their destination. They care about costs. They care about speed. They care about quality. We should be saying we, because
yes,
we care about those things, right? Cost, time, quality, service. So I think that it's likely that the future will have much, much more AI embedded into many, many more of our services. But our point of view, unless we're directly interacting with a bot we know to be AI, like you're talking to your smart speaker or you're on the phone with a customer service robot, you'll have a point of view right then. But mostly in the background of services, whether or not your lawyer uses AI to do good discovery work, or whether or not your financial planner wrote that summary by hand, or a bot generated a summary of your finances, whether the salesperson or the marketer got AI help in drafting that message that landed in your inbox. It might be kind of a big bite of a nothing burger, Tim. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's very hard to say. I think that the most important things to consumers won't likely change.
Yeah, I mean, our friend Mark Schaefer wrote, probably was it 5-6 years ago, about that there was an avalanche of content, and we'd reached a point where we were at saturation level.
Content shock.
Yeah, that was it. Content shock. And we just seem to keep turning up the dial, really, don't we?
We do. I love Mark's perspective. He's a dear friend, and I have learned so many things from him. And I understand his notion. The volume of content is ever increasing. The attention span is not increasing. So he applies a sort of like economic model, pointing out that this is not sustainable. Here's another point of view. The way that we become exposed to content and discover content, email, search, social, they're mostly intermediaries between us and the internet as a whole, that filter for us through our actions and through their algorithms, whether it's like a deliverability algorithm or a search algorithm or a social algorithms. That the increasing content in the universe won't necessarily affect us so much as consumers. I collect screenshots of Google search results pages, and I can show you 10 years ago, you search for this phrase, it said there's 50 million search results. Here's the top 10. Today, you search for the same phrase, it'll say there's 200 million search results. Here's the top 10. So even if the internet doubles in size, which it does every so often, I'm not sure how dramatically that would impact the typical reader, potential buyer, email subscriber, social follower. The internet's always growing, and there's always a flood of low quality content. Is it a problem for algorithms in big tech? Certainly. Do they need to create countermeasures to stop spam? Certainly. Have they been doing that since the beginning? Of course. But your reader has ways to find quality. Brands matter. Personal brands matter. Trust matters. People can unsubscribe from things they don't like and unfollow accounts that are annoying.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, again, so many of these arrows point back to the same message, which is just stay obsessed over quality and connections, and the disruption won't be quite so bad.
And in terms of content is about creating trust. Content is about creating conversations. Content is about creating connection, and about thinking about whether what is it that you're creating, whether it's actually generating that. It's not about creating content for content's sake, is it?
No, I had one of the comments on that post I did yesterday. AI cannot produce thought leadership. Humans should not produce commodity content. I'm trying to draw this line, show this distinction. One of the comments was, what about SEO content? Which I think is sort of strange. What is SEO content? Oh, this person might be thinking of those sort of keyword focused articles that maybe rank well, that maybe get some clicks. But I've never thought of producing SEO content. I think of making a highly useful, interesting, insightful piece of content and then promoting it in search if it has a keyword opportunity. But I think there are lots of marketers with this mindset of sort of algorithm first.
I know people that have written content and it's unreadable because it's so it ranks on page 1, and as soon as you click into it, immediately there's a join our mailing list, and you go and you click on that one, and then it's do this and give us your email. It's like no. This is not what I signed up for.
Those algorithm first content is garbage. It's really not. It's the opposite of what we should be doing here, and what you just said about content's about connections, relationships, staying top of mind, being memorable, making an impact, being insightful, winning this contest of generosity. That's what content marketing is, a huge contest, a global, it's the Olympics of generosity. Whoever gives away the most helpful, useful advice wins the most loyalty and love and leads. What we're seeing with that question, with that comment reveals is that there's actually two types. Tell me if you agree, Tim. There's two types of marketers: algorithm marketers, who are mostly focused on getting visibility in social and search, or relationship marketers who care about their audience. They're nurturing their email list. They are building relationships with influencers, collaborating, which as we are doing right now.
Yep.
They care about word of mouth. They want to sound different. They're taking a stand. They have a perspective. They're building a referral network. Do you think that maybe there are two types of marketers, these sort of algorithm first marketers and these human first sort of relationship marketers?
I do. Yeah. And it's the same in sales. I mean, there's so much on social media about chasing algorithms. And I've had person after person that I've interviewed on here who have built up, a friend of mine, he's got a 15,000, similar to you, 15,000 YouTube channel subscribers. And he said, he gets emails saying, that was a great video. In your email from YouTube, that was a great video. Do another one. It's like, no, I don't want to do another one. I'm going to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I've built the 15,000 subscribers because I'm doing what I want and I create the content because I know the audience and the algorithm doesn't. All the algorithm knows is how many likes and views it's got.
Yeah. I'll make. I agree, and that's been my content strategy from the beginning. And this is an important message for many people who seem to have sort of an algorithm first approach. But just for fun, Tim, I'm going to run past. I'm going to give you a counter perspective. See what you think. When you know how to do it, there are ways to trigger an algorithm to get far, far greater engagement, ironically, through some of the most human content, the thought leadership type content that triggers a response that can get huge visibility by creating things that the algorithm likes, by creating things that people respond to. Is there a reasonable strategy with some part of that type of content in your mix that is sort of just there to create tons of high level visibility, knowing that could have a long-term benefit to the list growth or followers? I'll give you a quick example. I wrote an article that said, these are 13 things to remove from your website.
Yep.
And then I made a video. These are 13 things to remove from your website. Press releases don't belong on websites. They don't align with digital content best practices. They're not made for websites. PDFs, it's an alternate format for content. Nothing should be just a PDF. PDFs are like the rust of the internet. People upload them because their CMS is hard to use. Dates on blogs. You should not put a date on your blog if you have evergreen content strategy. It just makes your content look older faster. You can always put a date in the title or in the body text. This video, people start arguing, they're just very passionate, all caps comments, literally 500 plus comments. YouTube says, oh, I like this. And they showed it to 250,000 people. Yeah, it has that's more than 100x my normal video. And that led to 2,000 new subscribers. and it's actually relevant to what we do. I mean, we build websites. Do you think that there is a reasonable content strategy with some small amount of that in the mix, or am I just
No,
tiptoeing the
I
evil?
agree
Yeah,
that but it's not about that all the time.
right. Yeah.
And you know, the class, you know, the example was when I said, you know, the person wrote the a piece of content, and then you've got this pop up, and then another pop up, and
Oh yeah,
another. I mean, that's just spammy.
that's spam. That's well, that's a pretty. We should all agree today that sacrificing the user experience of your visitor for you to hit a marketing goal is antithetical to the reason you're doing marketing. It's for the visitor, right? Content marketing is an audience first
Yes.
approach. I have never. I can take a stand here a little bit. I've never used. This is 17 years in digital. I've never used a pop-up window. I've never gated a piece of content. I've never bought an ad. I don't do things that are not aligned with how my consumers want to use the internet, because I'm here for them. So if there's we can all disabuse ourselves of this notion today. $8 million in revenue, 53 employees, 24 years in business without ever buying an ad. Yep. I'm not the only one. Without ever
We've never
pop-up
bought ads. We've never made a cold call. We actually don't have an email list.
Good for you, Tim.
So,
you are,
you know,
audience first. Yep. You're an empathetic human. Yep. Aligned with the humans that you want to help.
Andy, thank you so much. I could talk to you all day. We've had one comment from LinkedIn user. The reason why that comes as with LinkedIn user is that the person hasn't given permission for LinkedIn to share their data. Always another way to look at AI. Thank you so much for that. That's fantastic. Andy, fantastic conversation. Thank you. I knew it would be. I've been looking forward to this all day. Where can people find you?
If anyone wants to chat with me, you can skip the blue follow button and click the 3 dots and connect with me on LinkedIn. And if anyone wants to be first to get my content, orbitmedia.com/blog, you can subscribe there and we'll send you everything there first, just via email. I only send the newsletter. I never use that list for anything else. You'll get 1 email every 2 weeks if you subscribe.
Fantastic. Andy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Tim.